right, so today we're going to be learning about one of our art words called value. And you can make value with lots of different things where it goes from light to dark. And I'm going to show you some neat tricks to use a pencil to make things look realistic by using value. So here is, we're going to be practicing making snowmen. And before we do that, I want to show you some tricks with your pencil on how to make shading. So you'll notice on the back here, I started practicing what I call my little tornadoes. All right, and I'm going to zoom in so you can see what I mean on your paper. All right, so with your paper, the first thing I want you to do is hold your pencil in the hand that you always hold. And I want you to practice opening and closing just your fingers. Open and closing just your fingers. Like that. If it helps you, you can hold your wrist and make sure you're not moving your wrist, because I don't want to see you do this. I would like to see you hold your wrist and open your fingers and close your fingers. Good. Alright, so once you've done that, what I want you to try is to put your hand on the table and do the same thing. Open and close your fingers and try to make a tornado. Just see what you come up with. Good. So now that you've done that, to make shading, to create that value, we're going to shade with our pencil. So to do that, you're going to put your hand back on your paper, and I want you to push really hard and then start going lighter, 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 lighter with your pencil. Now try to do that a couple times. Anywhere on your paper, push really hard, well, not too hard that you break your pencil, and then go lighter, 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 and make a tinier tail. Awesome. Now, after you've done this a couple times, what I'd like you to do is put your pencil down. And the next trick is you can make a shading with your finger. So take your pointer finger and you're going to smudge it. All right, so you're going to smudge, 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 and then look at your finger. It gets dirty. So you can smudge them a little bit if you want. And just see, you'll notice that if it's darker, it smudges more, and if it's lighter, it doesn't. But your finger is going to become nice and shiny. Perfect. Once you've done that, I want to show you how to shade a ball. Because when you look at your snowman or snow girl, you have 3 balls, right? So what we're going to do is I just want you to draw a circle. Don't worry if it's not perfect. Remember, this is just practice. Even mine's not perfect. And then I want you to draw a line coming out from your ball. Do a backward C and come on back in. So that's going to be our shading part of our ball. Perfect. Once you've done that, I would like you, the most important thing is when you go to shade is you want to make sure you're following the curve. So try to follow the curve and go dark first, then make a medium where you're not pushing as hard. Keep following that curve, and then you're going to go light. Okay? Keep following it. And then I leave a spot where it's all white. So it goes dark to medium to really light. But you're following that curve. I'll zoom in a little bit more. What I do not want to see is that you're going up and down like this. Now it doesn't look like a ball, right? So you don't want to go up and down. That's not right. You want to follow the curve. And you build it slowly until you get it all the way. Okay? Then I want you to take your finger and you're going to smudge it. And that's how you blend it just right. Okay? Perfect. After you've done that part, the next part will be doing the shadow. So shadows are always darkest when it's next to it. And what you can do is follow the same thing. Follow that curve. Okay? And you go dark to medium to light. And I know it's hard to see. The most important thing is that it's really dark here. So it looks like the ball is sitting on the table. And you can smudge that too if you want. And that's how you do some basic shading. Okay? Perfect. All right. Now that we've done our shading, let's move on to our snowman. First thing that we're going to do is flip our papers over. And we need to draw the 3 balls, right? So you're going to do your first one. And then you're going to do your next one. What I do is I just kind of have it come off like that. And then my third one, I do the same thing, just like that. Perfect. Then you're going to make your eyes. It's always important to start with your snowman the way you want. You can make your eyes any way you want. You can make them shiny, not shiny. It's up to you. Okay. To make the nose, what you're going to do is you do a curve. And then I put a dot a little bit farther out. And then you connect it. Connect it here and connect it there. Good. After that, I'm going to do a backward C to make the carrot lines. And then you can make your snowman's mouth any way you like. Perfect. The next thing is to draw the scarf. So to draw our scarf, I'm going to do a curve, because we always want to make things look curved. And then I'm going to draw 2 lines, kind of wave them out. And then I make an upside down V. And I draw the top part of the scarf too. Any way you like. You can even draw however you feel like that you want it. I want you to take a moment to decorate that scarf. Add in shapes, you can have hearts, you can have anything that you feel like. Once you've done that, add in your buttons. If there's certain buttons that you want, I might just do my circle buttons to keep it simple, but you can do any buttons that you would like. And then think about how you want your snowman to be? Do you want your snowman skiing or singing or having a hot cocoa? There's so many ways you can position your snowman or snow girl. So I'm just going to do a stick arm over here, like this, coming out here. And then this one, I might have, I feel like some hot cocoa today, and I have this one holding a hot cocoa mug. Some marshmallows in there. Yum. So what you can do for adding in hats and all those other things, before you move on, follow that same pattern of shading. Before I continue doing the shading, I wanted to show you a couple things. First is I don't want you to stress if it doesn't look exactly like this one. I did a lot of finger shade. What you can do is, instead of having all of that, I have other examples to show you. You could do where you just do your lines and you don't get your finger dirty, and add different other features on there. Here's another one where maybe you don't shade all the way, you just stop. You got some of that. And then here's a little bit more of a bigger one where you've got the lines that you can see a little bit more. Alright, so back to our shading. As you're going, you want to follow that curve like we practiced. So that first one, you kind of bring it down the top and the bottom here, about that far, and you make it nice and dark with your pencil. Now I find I don't want a very sharp pencil because then it makes really sharp lines. I want softer lines in order to get the look I'm looking for. And then I go for my next layer, which is the medium, right? And then I go for my lighter layer. Okay? And you can always go back and add in more. It's up to you. And here's my finger. I'm just going to blend it, and I'm going to blend it a little bit further from myself. Just helps. And maybe I go back in and I make this area a little bit darker and use my finger. So you can see how it really stands out and it's starting to look more realistic, and that's what value does. Now the same thing with our nose, and I'm going to zoom in here to help. The nose, we're not going to do the whole thing, so you kind of just start on the top and we do it a little bit darker. And then here, I'm just going to do a tiny little bit of shading, tiny little bit of shading, and a tiny bit. So you can see that. What you could do is you can use your finger and just kind of smudge it tiny bit. You don't have to. Even on the bottom, if you really wanted to, you could do a couple little lines, very small, to make it look like there's some value there. Perfect. Now with your scarf, it's because we've got the dark part here, I'm going to do darker over, and I'm not going to go over my shapes yet. I just want to do the sharp edges here. And anywhere that the neck is touching another ball, that's usually where it's going to be a little darker. So I'm just going to have a little bit of shading, not much. I could just kind of shade a little bit, use my finger, smudge it, and voila. Now it looks a little bit more shaded. And like I said, you can always go back in and add some darker lines and shading in the corners to really make that stand out. But this is just our practice. Okay. Now what we're going to do is I want you to do the same trick that we did here, but I want you to try to do it in the middle one and the bottom one. So why don't you try that now? Now after, you're going to notice I just want to have a little bit of some like crease so it looks like he's sitting on here. I'm just going to kind of do a line that's a little darker here. And on the bottom, because my snowman's on the ground, one of my things, just like we did our tornadoes, try to have your snowman sitting on one of your bigger tornadoes. It's one of my favorite things to do on the bottom if I want my snowman to be sitting somewhere. So there, we've got the start, we've got the shading done. Now I want you to have fun. You can sign your name in the front if you want. I had done Mrs. Holland on mine over here. But think about, what do you want to add? A hat? Do you want to add in something else that your snowman's holding on to? You can do a ball. But I want you to keep in mind that this is the dark shadow. So if you wanted to put, say, a moon in, do the moon over here so the light from the moon is shining here. If you put the moon over here, it's not going to look real. You could add in snowflakes. You could add in like hills in the background. So if I wanted to have, like, my snowman is by these big hills over here, and I've got another one that's skiing. Maybe I have a snowman skiing. He's going wee, right? He's got his little hat on. His scarf is blowing in the wind. The nose. You could add in all those cool little things, whatever you want as he's going down the hill. So you could have lots of really cool details with your drawing in the background, telling a story, and I just want you to go and have some fun. Alright, so I know I was moving on in my video for us here, and I realized I'm a little bummed. When I was recording it, the camera stopped recording. So have fun with your background and adding your hat or earmuffs, whatever you're feeling like. And if you wanted to add in some snow, you do a plus sign and then you do 2 diagonals, and you can always smudge it with your finger. And that's what makes it that kind of glowing snowflake. So have fun with your snowman.